This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe Birthday Boy. And the birthday boy for today, December the 12th, is a battling NHL goalie, one of the greatest players in NHL history. They need there. He was a money goalie, as in he was money in the playoffs, winning 4 straight Stanley Cups for the New York Islanders in the 1980s. He was the goalie who was known as a hatchet man, if you will, for his rough and tough old play. His name is Billy Smith, who's now 73 years old. Billy Smith played for Cornwall, the Quebec Major Leagues. Weird how Cornwall is in Ontario, but they played in the Quebec Leagues, and at one time, the Montreal Junior Canadiens played in the Ontario Hockey League. But anyway, in the 5th round of the 1970 NHL draft, the Kings decided to draft him and spent 2 years in the minor leagues with Springfield in the AHL. After helping win the Calder Cup for Springfield, that's the AHL Championship in 1971, he made his LA debut February 12, 1972 at the Montreal Forum, losing 6-5 to the Habs. The winning goal was scored by Guy Lafleur with 22 seconds left, but still, he looked good. He would be an LA guy, but with Rogie Vachon taking up the net for the Kings, they decided to let bygones be bygones and let Billy Smith go off to the Islanders in the expansion draft. After the Islanders took Gary Desjardins with the first goalie pick of the expansion draft, they decided to go with Billy Smith. And it was weird seeing Billy Smith in the early days with the Islanders wearing a mask, but not the cage mask he's used to. You used to see him. Practically, he was a goalie that wore a colored mask with painting on it. And then after a few years, he decided to go back to wear the cage style mask and all that. He shared goalie duties with Desjardins for 2 years, and then by 74-75, when Desjardins went to the WHA, Billy Smith came in net and did his job, helping the Islanders make the playoffs for the first time in their young franchise's history. That was only their 3rd year of existence, and shocking the Rangers in the first round of the playoffs thanks to J.P. Paris's 11-second goal in overtime. Billy Smith was All-Star Game MVP in 1978, and he was basically sharing the net with Chico Resch. People forget that Chico Resch was the guy who gave up Lanny McDonald's overtime goal in the 78 playoffs for the Leafs in their best playoff appearance in a long time, getting into the 78 semifinals. But yeah, Chico Resch, but he was sharing with Chico Resch. People didn't know who the main guy was. But by the 1980 playoffs, they were not really too much into Chico, and they decided to let Billy Smith start in net for the playoffs, and he rode himself hard. The Islanders rode him hard, and it worked. He helped the Islanders take care of Buffalo in the semifinals and the Flyers in the Stanley Cup Finals to win the 1980 Stanley Cup. And then in 1981, he took care of the Minnesota North Stars in the final. 1982, taking care of the Vancouver Canucks in the finals, and 83, the Oilers with Wayne Gretzky, Jari Kurri, and Paul Coffey, among others. He was firmly established thanks to the 1980 playoffs. Chico Resch was then dealt to Colorado, which soon became the Devils. So anyway, Billy knew what he'd do. He was elected to be part of Canada's team in the 81 Canada Cup, but because of an injury, he couldn't play in that one. Billy Smith was decent in the regular season, but the playoffs, his performances were huge. I mean, he helped the Islanders win 4 straight Stanley Cups from 80, 81, 82, 83. Got to the finals 5 straight times. They got to the 84 finals before losing to the Oilers, as the Oilers finally saw Billy Smith and his hatchet work, if you will, and helped them win 19 straight playoff series. In fact, Billy Smith was the first Stanley Cup winning goalie to wear the helmet and cage combination mask that you see Chris Osgood and for a while Dominic Hasek and the Blackhawks wore those styles. So yeah, so you made helmet and cage combinations kind of look nice and all that, rather than the fiberglass masks and all that. So yeah, by the 80s he was wearing the helmet and cage and just making and better. And a lot of goalies decided to go with the helmet and cage, mostly because it gave them more seeing, like it gave them more eyesight and all that. Billy Smith was great in 1983. In the finals, the Oilers scored only 6 times in the 4-game series, and he won the Conn Smythe for playoff MVP. No big surprise. He looked very good and all that. Unfortunately, though, in '84 he looked slow, and Rolly Melanson took over for him in net. However, in 1985, when Washington had their hands on the Islanders and almost sunk the Islanders in the first round of the 1985 playoffs, Billy Smith somehow in some way put up 3 straight wins, helping the Islanders take care of the Washington Capitals and send them out of the playoffs, which the Islanders then took on the Flyers and didn't do so well. Smith's playoff success feeds into his reputation as a supreme money goalie, or clutch goalie, if you will. It was there, the person you want to net with the season on the line. It looked pretty good and all that. Billy Smith was actually the first NHL goalie to be credited with scoring a goal. In a game in Colorado between the Islanders and the Rockies in November 1979, the Islanders were getting a delayed penalty call, meaning that the next time the Islanders touched the puck, the penalty would be called. So the Rockies would send an extra attacker. The puck actually deflected off Smith's chest protector into the corner. Rob Ramage picked up the puck and decided to try to pass the puck to the blue line for a quick shot. Unfortunately, Ramage's botch, Ramage was the #1 pick in the draft, ironically enough. He made the blind pass to the blue line, but no one received the pass, and the puck somehow, in some way, slowed down the length of the ice and into the Rockies' net. And because Billy Smith was the last Islander to technically touch the puck, he was credited with a goal, setting the precedent for goalie goals. But, Ron Hextall would have a few goalie goals by practically shooting the puck into the net and not having deflections and all that. Billy Smith would play until 1989, becoming the last original Islander on the team. So the last player who was part of the 72 Islanders and their expansion draft to play for the Islanders, still on the team. He was the Islanders goalie coach. And then once Bill Torrey, the longtime Islander GM, was going to be the GM of the Panthers expansion team, he went to Florida to help out. And he was the goalie coach for 7 years for them. He would help Bill Torrey out a lot. The Islanders would retire as number 31 in 1993. And then later in 93, he was inducted to the Hockey Hall of Fame. In fact, no goalie other than Billy Smith was inducted to the Hall of Fame in the 1990s, which was kind of weird and all that. But he was known as Violent Billy and Hatchet Man for one main reason: his fiery temper, and basically would use the stick or block run players crowding his crease, and forwards needed ankle guards to protect themselves. Smith was noted for his display of feigned injuries, which would lead to penalties against opponents. Billy Smith had a bladed dive in Game 4 of the 83 Stanley Cup Finals. That meant that Glenn Anderson was given a 5-minute penalty. All of that. Eddie Van Halen vowed revenge on Billy Smith, and when there was a collision between Anderson and Smith in Game 1 of the 84 Finals, Van Halen gave no penalty. Smith actually refused to participate in the traditional handshakes between teams at the end of a playoff series, despite the fact that, most of them were when the Islanders won the cup and all that. So, anyway, Billy Smith was laid back off the ice, but he had an intense focus on the ice. So, anyway, he won the AHL trophy in 1971, played in the 78 All-Star game, which he was MVP. Won the 1982 Vezina for best goalie, Conn Smythe winner in 83 for best playoff MVP, winning 4 Stanley Cups, 80, 81, 82, 83, being the first goalie to be credited with a goal. He did that in 1979, and it took 8 years for another one to do it. Inducted to the Hall of Fame in 93, the same year as the Islanders decided, hey, let's retire his number 31. And was part of 100 greatest NHL players of all time. In his career with the Kings and Islanders, well, the Kings he was only 1-3-1, but mostly with the Islanders. He won 305 games, in 680 attempts with a 3.17 goals against average and 22 shutouts. In the playoffs, he was 88 and 36. For the longest time, he had the most playoff wins by a goalie before Patrick Roy broke that record. He did great, 88 and 36. That's kind of 2.5 wins for every loss in the playoffs. 6 shutouts, 273 goals against. But still, he worked his butt off for the Islanders and all that, becoming the main focus of the Islanders with Bossy, Trottier, and Gillies among others. But yeah, he was the main goalie in net, and you can't teach that in goalie school. Not now, not ever. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.